Hey traders, my name is Danny Naz, but you might know me as the Pup of Wall Street. And today we're going to go look at some of my top plays going into next week. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below so you can get actionable trades right away. And if you get a chance, leave a comment below. Make sure you say hi. Now let's dig into those charts. All right, let's go over the 17 charts for this week. First up, we have Apple. Apple did break out on Friday here over our 157.26 level. You can see once we broke 153, which was prior resistance back here, we had 3 straight days up. And we also had a 2-dot squeeze on TTM and a MACD crossover after it was intertwined. So the one thing to note, we are in overbought territory for RSI, but you can see when we entered overbought territory back here, we still had multiple days of a move up. And so what I'm watching for is once we test potentially 162.41, I would be watching 164 and then 169 up above. Next up, we have Amazon. So Amazon is starting to come back up to its top of range here from back in June. You can see this area provided some resistance as we came into overbought conditions here on RSI, but then we had a MACD cross under and price moved down. And then we came back up to that center channel and then price got rejected again. Now we've broken over that center channel. Although we did have an inverted hammer here into these previous highs, I am going to be watching Amazon into next week. If we get a break over this 3775 level, then watch for a move to the top of the channel in the next 2 weeks and possibly a test of 4,000. Big move can happen here on Amazon pretty quickly. That's been the personality of the stock. Next up we have is BLNK. So clean energy has been a sector that has been on the move. And you can see from this prior resistance level here back in April and then back in July, we're now breaking over that, and we actually did a breakout retest and a bounce all in the past week. And so I'm going to be watching for a move potentially over, let's say $47, and in a move over 47, we should test 50 and then potentially 57 in the coming week or two. Next up is a new one, Cube. So caught this, personal storage has been really a hot market for probably more than a year now, as you could see by this CubeSmart chart. And, we did have this drawdown after a big run up, and we came down, we came right back up to the highs. We had a false breakout, came right back down, and now we're forming a nice handle on this cup and handle setup. So a couple of things I'm watching. We came back down to 50 on RSI, and we started to bounce. We are setting up in a TTM squeeze, just 3 dots in at the moment. And for now, on that false breakout, we did get a MACD cross under. And so this may need another few days to set up, but I figured let me get it on the radar because we had a strong close into the end of the week. We came right into that 55 EMA and had 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right back into that 55.05 level. So keep an eye on CubeSmart. It might not go next week. Keep in mind next week is a holiday shortened week. So we have off on Thursday and then Friday is a half day. Next up is GME. I don't know how else to explain this, but look at the apex here of this symmetrical wedge. This thing is going one way or another. I think it's going higher just based on some of the technicals that I'm seeing. If we get a break over 230 or 250, this thing really can start to propel higher. I'm not going to really spend too much time on the chart. It is a meme, so you have to understand there comes risk with these types of trades, but I wanted to put it at least on the radar because the setup just looks fantastic. So take with that what you will. Next up is JD. Haven't really been talking about China names for the last few weeks, maybe even more than a month. And that's mainly because it's just too much of a geopolitical area right now to trade. However, of the group, I really like JD. And you could see Thursday and Friday, it already started to break out from its earnings on Thursday, and we have some room to run on RSI. Although there are no squeezes, we got our first tick on positive momentum in quite some time, and we had a MACD crossover. So watch for JD. If we get a retest of, let's say, 90, or even a back test of, let's say, 88 to 87, watch for a bounce back through 90, upwards of $98 to $100. Next up is JKS. I put out a trade alert last week for Jinko Solar, and it didn't trigger yet, so I figured why not put it back on the list this week. And so let me just move this volume profile back so we get a more accurate depiction of volume. And so what I like, we did get an early squeeze firing, 3 dots in. MACD is in a bullish range, and we got that breakout, a little bit of a gap below, so watch if that gap fills and then we start to turn back up, or just watch for the break of the 618 at 66.82. I do like Jinko Solar moving forward. Next up, let's talk about a couple of semis. Semiconductors have been hot. AMD and NVIDIA have run. So now my eyes go to what has not run as hard or not at all. And so Lam Research has run. However, we came into a downtrend resistance and we finally got our breakout on Friday. So keep a close eye on it. We're just coming into overbought territory. Keep in mind, we are already at a TTM squeeze, so this may start to dissipate. So I'm going to keep a close eye on that. And we've already made that MACD crossover. But, you know, with these types of stocks and these breakouts, we could see with all-time highs very close, a move higher to all-time highs and then a potential breakout. So just keep that in mind. Something else that I took a trade on this week and rolled up on Friday is MU. And although I would not be chasing up here, I just wanted to bring it to your attention because this was a trade that I brought, I believe, last week and then also prior 2 weeks to that. So we had a beautiful gap up and go on Friday right through the 50% retracement. So I'm going to be trading this to about 85.06, and I do expect a little bit of resistance there. If we do hit resistance at 85.06, watch for a pullback retest on the 50% retrace at 81.36. If we get that retest and then bounce, this could be an area to potentially get into the trade. Again, we are overbought and we have that squeeze and we had that MACD crossover. So again, I wouldn't be chasing up here, but I want to make sure that this is on your radar because Micron certainly can run. Another trade alert that I put out last week that it actually did break out and now we're coming in for a retest is Pfizer. You have to be careful with these COVID biotech type of plays. They are a bit more on the volatile side. No squeezes to note. We are in overbought territory for RSI and we had our MACD crossover already. But if we do backtest 50.48 and hold and we start to move back higher, I would take this trade up to about 55, potentially up to 58.63 using a stop loss of 48.82. And just to keep in mind, I don't normally put stop losses on these trades because everybody trades differently. Everybody has a different account size. Everybody has a different risk tolerance. And so you need to determine as a trader or as an investor if you're going to put a stop loss, which I would highly recommend, and where you would put that stop loss in for your trade plan. Next up is Plug Power. So Plug Power came right into that 1618 extension. It had a pretty decent move on Friday after chopping around for most of the week. So we got our close over that 1618 extension at 43.95. Not overbought yet, no squeezes to note, and MACD is in a bullish range intertwined. So watch for a continuation over 44, and you can watch 47, 53, and then potentially 56 to the upside. And as I mentioned earlier, clean energy is really strong right now. Next up is RIOT. So this is our cryptocurrency play. I was in the Mara trade for the last few weeks. I did close out Mara last week. It just had a beautiful run. It hit our target and I exited the trade. It was very straightforward. And so with this, you see we have a ABC correction, right? Then into a 1-2-1-2 setup and another nested 1-2. So we possibly are back testing what we saw here, that 32.80 entry. I think that's a pretty good entry to take if we still hold over it. And I'd be watching these targets up above, and this would be ultimately my target zone. Plenty of room to run on RSI. We did bounce off of 50, no squeezes, and we did get a little bit of a cross under on the MACD. Just understand that if Bitcoin runs, all these, RIOT, SI, Coinbase, Mara, they will all move with crypto. So just please understand the volatility that comes along with playing these crypto stocks. Next up is Run. This is another solar play. I liked the setup on this. We came back into 50 RSI. We held it. We have a squeeze setting up, although we had a MACD cross under. I do think that this potentially, originally my entry was at 59.95 with a stop loss of 52, and we did come back to that stop loss, but from this downtrend line right here, we did break out, we retested it, and we retested it a second time and bounced. So I think this is a pretty good area. If we can get a trade near 55, get an early entry, keep that stop loss under 52, and then maybe you put on a small position here, and then you put the rest of the position on over 60. These would be the areas that I would target for a move higher. All right, next up is SI, another Bitcoin play. Same notes as Mara. I do have this as a wave 4 going into now a wave 5. So it is, for me, closer to the end of the trade than the beginning. But as I've been tracking this for the last few weeks, and I've been in since about 129, I think, and I added my last tranche right here on this back test at 141. I am going to be selling the majority of my position into 253 and then looking for pullbacks to buy. So I just wanted to just do this as more of a trade review. And you can trade this like short term. If you're a day trading or doing a short swing, there is potential from 216 up to 253. So it's a decent move up to the upside, but it is risky if you didn't profit on prior trades. Next up is TTD. This has just been a beast of a trade for the last 2 weeks. We caught this through, I think through 90, caught it up to about 97, added at 100. I sold a little bit into 110, but if we break over 110.71 next week, watch for a potential move in the next 2 weeks up to 128. And as I note here, it appears to be in wave 3 of 3. So what that means is we have a wave 1, 2, and when we have a nested 1, 2 right here. Now we're in wave 3, and we're in wave 3 of 3, right? So you have 1, 2, wave 3. I'll wait for that to clear. And then you have 1, 2, wave 3. And how do we know that this is wave 3? One of the signatures of wave 3s are gap ups, these acceleration gap ups or these break and go gap ups. So that's exactly what we got here. So that's, for me, very good confirmation. We got our breakaway gap or our acceleration gap in wave 3 of 3. This tends to be the longest wave. I do have us going up to 147, but I will be managing this trade into 128. Next up is TXT. I did put out this alert last week. We broke out, but then we retested the breakout level at 74.79. Has a 92% seasonality in November for the last 10 years. I think that's pretty good. Of course, we only have 1 week left, so I would like to see if we can get a move out of this week, possibly off of 75 into 77. But let's see how the week progresses. And then finally, here's our last stock, Zim, which is a shipping service. And you can see on Thursday we broke out. On Friday we continued. Hit our first target at 57.93. A break over that level and we could see 62, 67, 74. We did get a 1-dot squeeze fire on Friday and we got a MACD crossover as well. And we have room to run on RSI. So thank you very much for being with me this week and listening to me talk. And listen, I'm not a financial advisor. Of course, this is not financial advice. I'm merely showing you how I trade. So this is really just for educational purposes. If you have any questions and you're in one of my rooms, please DM me there. If you're not, feel free to DM me on Twitter. That's at the Pup of Wall Street. Thank you very much for being with me. Have a great evening. Catch you in the markets tomorrow.